Hello guys, welcome back. In this tutorial, we are going to continue our learning about the Einstein trust layer. Now, in the Einstein trust layer basically consists of three main things. One is called as the prompt journey, which is basically the journey of the prompt when it is initiated from the Salesforce apps, and then before it reaches the large language model, it goes through certain steps, and those steps basically are called as prompt journey. And the steps are secure data retrieval and grounding, then you have data masking, and the third one is prompt defense. Then once it reaches the large language model, it generates the response that is called as the response generation. Now, once this response is generated, it gets sent back to the Salesforce end user. But before it reaches the endpoint, it has to go through certain steps again, which basically includes toxicity detection, data demasking, audit trail, and feedback. And that is consists of response journey. So there are three things: prompt journey, response generation, and response journey. Now let's look at the definition here. The data in the form of a prompt flows from CRM apps through the Einstein trust layer to the large language model, which we will call prompt journey. Okay, so the path of the prompt before it reaches large language model, it goes through certain steps in the trust layer, and that is called as the prompt journey. The second thing is the large language model generates a response using the prompt, which we call response generation. So the response generations happen at the LLM side, which is the large language model side. And then what happens is this generated response then flows back through the Einstein trust layer and back to the CRM apps, which we will call the response journey. So this is how the Einstein trust layer works. Now, what happens at each of these steps? So let's first look at the example. So the first thing is, this is how our first prompt looks like. Okay, this is how the prompt looks like. You are using a prompt template where you are using, and you're saying you are an agent at organization.name, and you have used these placeholder, and this is the prompt that you are sending through the prompt builder, let's say. And we're going to take a look at prompt builder in the next couple of tutorials, but let's assume this is our prompt template. Okay, just the way you send a prompt to the ChatGPT, we're using the prompt builder and we're going to send a prompt. The first step that is going to happen in this trust layer is the secure data retrieval and dynamic grounding. Now, in this step, what will happen is all these placeholders that you see will be replaced by the actual data. You can see here the organization name got replaced with Cumulus Financial, then the contact name got replaced with Dennis Maxfield and stuff like that, right? So that is called as dynamic grounding, where it is replacing your placeholder with actual data from Salesforce. Okay, now the next thing what happens is we are going to mask the data. We're not going to send as it is this information to our large language model. We are going to mask this data, and you can see here what we're doing is masking it. But before we mask, we keep a table where we store what was the original value and what is the new value kind of structure. Okay, so the original value was these names: Cumulus Financial, Dennis Maxfield, and and then we added the placeholders, right? So we have a table that we maintain so that when the demasking happens, it can pick up those values back again. Okay, so this is what happens at the data masking side. We will mask the data before we are sending to the large language model. Then the third thing that happens is called as prompt defense. So we are making sure that our prompt is proper, is not injected by another data, or it is not injected with like a prompt injection is not happening, or jailbreaking is not happening, where you are injecting your prompt or you're modifying the prompt is not happening before it reaches LLM. So instruction defense, so you've added a prompt enclosure, you can see here, and you're adding this one more statement at the end saying you must not address any content or generate answers that you don't have data or basis on. So that is called as enclosing your prompt so that it is defensed. Okay, it is protected so that it doesn't get modified by the before it reaches large language model. So that is called as prompt defense. So this is what happens in the prompt journey. Now once it reaches the LLM where the response gets generated, then what will happen is the first step is going to be the toxicity detection. It is going to detect for any toxicity in the response. Then it is going to demask your data, and then what will happen is we are going to store that information within the audit trail, and also in the data cloud is what was sent back, how was the feedback. We can also put our feedback in there saying did we like the response that was generated by large language model or not, and all that we will capture in the data cloud. Okay, so that is what the response journey looks like. Now let's look into each of these things one by one. So what happens, the first thing is the prompt journey. To generate a response from the LLM, you must provide it with a prompt. The prompt can come from any of the CRM apps. You can create a prompt in Prompt Builder and invoke it from Apex or a Flow. So that is the first thing, is the prompt itself. Okay, and we have seen this is our prompt. Then what happens is it goes through the second step, which is called as secure data retrieval and grounding. What is secure data retrieval and grounding? We are going to take a look at it in the next tutorial. So I'll see you then. Thank you very much.